Alright, guys, I've sort of got roped into this week. So, why are you going to the Philippines? I have to ask the question because a lot of people have sort of done it on a whim, so I'm not really sure what to expect, the reason behind it, etc., etc. Or a friend said it's great. I think you need to decide the reasoning behind it. If you're going to settle or retire there, is it going to offer what you want out of life? Is your budget going to be enough? And the medical risks are the big one. I will get people argue about how much it costs to live there. I was seeing someone the other day say, "Oh, it cost me this amount even when I was in the Ukraine." Blah. Blah. You know what? I couldn't care less what your budget is. You've got to decide what your own budget is. I normally find that people that overemphasize their budget, I want them to clap of their hands or something. Um, the reality is, it all depends on your lifestyle. If you're a backpacker looking at traveling and moving week to week, I'm sure your cost of living is going to be far less than somebody that wants a 4x4, aircon 24/7, and a 4 bedroom with a swimming pool. Cost of living is miles apart. Now, one of the things I would say about swimming pools is a lot of the time, if you've got one, you find people want to come and use it. If you haven't got one, they don't. Yeah, where you live, there's probably a resort which has got a swimming pool that's only about 60, 70 cents a day. It's not expensive for swimming. Which means you get out of the maintenance, you get out of people wanting to come around your house all the time because you've got a swimming pool, and quite simply you can just enjoy life. But what else is there to think about? If you're going into a relationship, don't get into the first one. The reality is, you have no idea what you're getting into. You don't understand the culture, people that think differently. You've got different classes of people, and the classes do make a difference because you find that a lot of people that are from the poorer backgrounds never finish school. They can often be not just less educated, but also a little bit more um, juvenile and less mature, which in a relationship may be all unique and interesting at the beginning, but later on could be a constant pain in the sense that a lot of normal stuff becomes very difficult, simply because they've never really understood a lot of it or never been taught, or it makes the relationship hard work. So there's things like that. There's a lot of people that work for a living as well, where personally I think if you're looking for a relationship, that's where you should be looking. Um, a lot of people have gone through the mill already. They've been through a relationship. They've had the problems related to relationships. They know what they want out of a relationship. So when they're committing to it, they already know what they're getting into. The last group don't. I've seen guys with women that barely function as a human being. They're connected to a mobile phone but can't cook, can't look after the house, can't. I've got nothing beyond chatter with their friends. And when you see them when they're older, it doesn't change much. They're comparing fake Prada handbags with some second-hand 4x4 that they've got with their small groups. It's, for me, it just seems rather sad. But I just don't see the point of getting into those types of relationships, personally. I mean, maybe you think that's great, but it's just something to be aware of. But if you get somebody that's working for a living, they're often leading in their house at an early age. So they cook, they deal with their siblings, they do a lot of the chores and stuff. So they're into a routine. And this is where I get the feminists give me a bit of a bash. Well, you want a woman who does this, woman. You know what? The first ones sit on the sofa with a mobile phone. They, as I said, they barely function as a human being. The second time are quite happy being a housewife or working or doing whatever. That's the point. They already have something about them. Now, whether you want them to carry on working and stuff, that's up to you. That's something between you and them. But the point being is they know what they're doing. They know how to get from A to B. They know what they want in life. And one of the things you want to make clear is if you're retiring to the Philippines, that you have no intention of leaving. Because a lot of women want to leave the Philippines. So if you get that out of the way, you'll probably lose about 30% of the women in the first conversations. Because if you're not going anywhere, then they may not be interested. The advantage you get with that, though, is A, you've gone through people quite quick, but B, if you find a good partner anyway, then they're going to be committed to developing the life in the Philippines. So nothing wrong with that. If you're going just for traveling, I do recommend that you try to hop around. I mean, Cebu is often the first drop-off point for a lot of people. It's centrally located for the Visayas, so you can get all over the Visayas region very easily. Pier 1, you'll find a lot of the boats going out, the ferries going to other locations. It's cheap, it's easy to travel around, and it's a good starting point. I mean, you could probably come in at Manila, spend a week in Manila, then hop over down to Cebu on a Cebu Pacific plane, or you can get a ferry between the two as well. So you could actually travel down from Manila down to the bottom coast, and then hop on a ferry. I can't remember how long the ferry takes, but you can travel by ferry as well, which gets you to see more as well while you're traveling. Going around, I recommend researching as well, because a lot of people will not give you the information. They're not going to say, oh, he's a tourist, he'll love to see that. You won't get any of that. What you need to do is actually research what's worth seeing and where. Do that ahead, and one of the things I always recommend is don't do a timeline based on time. Do it based on order. The reason being is if you hit bad weather, the timeline goes to pot, because you may find that something breaks down and you're an extra 3 days in one location, or the weather changes and suddenly you can't get to where you want to go, so you've got to change your plan, then come back to it. But there will always be something that throws a spanner in the works. So just bear that in mind. But I do think it's worth traveling around. I find going to different areas, it's all a little bit different to the last place. I mean, when we went over to Negros, it seemed so similar, but different. You know, the food quantities were bigger. The types of tricycle were different. The infrastructure was very different. It was nice, and it wasn't as built up as Cebu is. So things like that, you can see a big difference between one area and another. The same as when you head south on the coastal road, you can see it getting greener and the water getting clearer the further south you go. Yeah, I mean it's like light, dark, night and day. You know, you can see as you get away from the city, big changes, and it's nice. It's nice to see that. I love all that. But there is plenty to see around the Philippines. There's lots of locations to visit. I do recommend trying not to get in a rut. You know, in the sense of you get comfy. It's very comfortable to get comfortable in an area. You set the maximum I'm going to stay in an area is 1 week, and then make sure you start to move on. Otherwise, you'll still be there for the whole term of your trip. You know, you need to be trying to push yourself forward, because it is very easy to get comfortable because you start getting settled, people start to know you, and you don't really go anywhere. But from a trip point of view, it's worth doing. I do recommend the Philippines. Most people speak English, which is a good advantage if it's your first backpacking trip or your first time overseas. And then there's plenty of other places later on. You know, head to Vietnam or Taiwan, Thailand. But I do recommend the Philippines. I do find it's easier to deal with as well. The way although you get the same aggressive overpricing for tourists. I find in the Philippines it's easier to deal with people. Some other places they're almost demanding the overpricing. I find the Philippines they do with a smile at least. So just bear that in mind. Would I recommend the Philippines for the long term? I suppose it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, myself, been there, did 8 years there, gone to Spain. I find Spain is better for the family life. But would I go back to the Philippines? Right now, I don't know. To be honest, I mean we've got property and stuff there. We still got all the call center stuff. We still got all the apartments and things. But my wife settled in Spain, and there's still a lot of Spain to do. I find Spain is very interesting from an architectural point of view and from a historic point of view. So there's a lot of stuff to do in Spain before I think, you know what, I'll go 13-hour flight back to the Philippines. You know, in where we are in Spain, I can head down to Granada in an afternoon and see the big palace and stuff. I can head north. I can go to Valencia, go to Barcelona, head into France, go Portugal to the south. You know, there's a lot of stuff to see. So my view on that is a little bit more biased than most people these days, simply because of my location. There's a lot I wanted to do. So I've sort of been to the Philippines, got the T-shirt. So I'm sort of a bit more in line with Spain at the moment. But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with living in the Philippines. I enjoyed it. I had a great time there. I find that the relaxed atmosphere is good. I like the fact that most people are up for things. You know, if you're going, let's go fishing let's go fishing tomorrow. You know what? You'll find about 5 other people that want to go fishing with you, or you want to go somewhere. There'll be somebody who'll go with you just for the day or whatever. There's always somebody, and I know some of you guys go, they're just hanging on for free food, blah blah. You know what? I couldn't care less. The whole point is, A, I can afford it, but B, it's good to have companions to travel with you. I mean, that's part of the journey, is the people that go with you. It's enjoying the journey. But I will say it's very easy to connect with people in the Philippines and make friends in the Philippines. And I do find that my time in the Philippines had changed the way I deal with people generally, and you may find the same. Is I'm a lot more laid back these days, and it's with Spain as well, overlapping with that. You get a different perspective on the world and a different way of thinking. For me, I don't let most things bother me these days. It's like, couldn't care less. You know, if something's not done on time, it needs to be done by. It's like, it gets done or it doesn't. That's it. There is no sense of urgency anymore. I've removed that. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be finished on time. It just means I don't worry about it finishing on time. It will finish on time, but I'm not forcing it to happen. Either they projected the wrong timeline, or it'll happen on time. Simple as that. Engaging with people is much easier as well, and you'll find that you may actually do that. You might find that you talk to people more that you wouldn't have done before. Even a simple smile. I mean, in the UK, that's hard work sometimes. You know, a lot of people are just, you go on a train and you find the majority of people are sat at a desk, on a laptop at a table, or they're looking down at the phone. Very little engagement with the people around them. Where you may find you actually make more of an effort simply because you're used to talking to people in the Philippines. And in Spain, it's the same. You find you talk to a lot more people in Spain. We simply know everybody these days in where we live. But then again, we've been there 5 years, so these things do happen. So I would recommend it. But I do recommend doing some planning, doing some research, in getting multiple viewpoints and opinions on things. And I do say viewpoints and opinions and not facts, simply because some people use viewpoints and opinions and call them facts. The reality is, a lot of it isn't, because it's relevant to circumstance. It's relevant to the way people are. You'll see somebody complain about something, and then you'll just see them somewhere else and realize it's them. They've got a real attitude problem. As they created an issue. Yeah, they'll go, oh, they did this. They did. It's like, have you looked at yourself? You're so aggressive and annoyed and frustrated. Yet, I don't think they created the situation. You went in there angry, so you were going to come out angry regardless. Just some people are like that. So if you get the knowledge from multiple people, you'll get a better understanding, be able to gauge which people their information's more valuable than others. But also regionally, there's different people in different locations that can give bits of information, and there's nothing wrong with reaching out to somebody and asking them for their thoughts on what you should see in their area, or what they recommend, what areas to avoid, or just for a bit of information. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to people, nothing at all. But yeah, highly recommend the Philippines. Loved it. But where I am today, I've got enough going on in Spain. So unless I reopen up the call center, I don't see me going back there, except on family trips and stuff. But not in a rush. I suppose that's one of the things I did. Like I said, the living in the present has become more prevalent since Spain and the Philippines. I don't really push to do this or that anymore. I'm more chilled out. But I suppose that's come out of it. That's come out of those trips. Because I find when you go to the Philippines, it feels like a new world, in the sense that it's a world that's welcoming. People are happy to see you there. People are chilled out, relaxed. And it's the same in Spain, where we live. We've actually had a fair few people move over now, and we've got, I think, another 3 moving over in the next 2 or 3 months. Because of stuff on the YouTube, but also they've come and met us and they've seen the area. And even people in the area have sort of commented that they didn't know that area existed, because it sort of sits between 2 larger towns. That it is a bit like a village feel, and it's chilled out, it's relaxed. And you got to get the best out of life. That's the important bit. See the things for what they are. A lot of people go and rush things, but the best things I see in life is like when I'm in Spain. I love walking along the beach. I love walking along. There's a canalway there, just chilled out. Thoughts are just on the views and relaxing. Spending time with the family. It's all the important stuff in life. It's like when we went to Granada and the kids basically used the wardrobes as beds, even though they had double beds. But they liked the sliding doors and they had shelves, so they moved into the wardrobe. It's those little moments that make it interesting and fun, and things you remember. So that's one of the things I will say is enjoy it. Don't put pressure on yourself. Go out there, relax, and get the most out of the trip. Thanks for watching.